All right, and good day, and you're welcome to another edition on the Turf on Dove Television. I want to say a very big thank you for tuning in and be part of this program. We appreciate you. My name is David Ayodeji Kasali, and of course, I'm most privileged to be your host on this show. If it's your first time tuning in on this show, let me quickly say that this show is designed for you and I. It has nothing to do with you just being Christian alone, but being involved and being well-grounded in politics. So this show is designed to educate us, enlighten us, engage us about politics and governance, and that is what we're all about. Let me quickly remind us that we all have different gifts but the same spirit. Some of us have the calling over our heads to be administrators and to work in government places, government offices. The question is, are there people in the Bible who worked for the government? Yes. Do they stand firm and they do not compromise? Yes. Is it possible to be in politics and still be a Christian? Yes. So why is the notion coming from that politics is a dirty game? We have Christians who are in politics and they are intact, their integrity is intact. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. If you have the calling of God over your life, to be involved and to serve the people of God genuinely to the glory of God, this show is meant for you. And of course, we have two segments on this show. We have our topic of discussion segment, and of course, we have the discussion segments where we dissect issues. On our second segment, which is the segment coming after this timeout, I have brought a guest from a very far place, and she has been involved in politics. She worships with Winners Chapel, and she's also involved, yes, at high office, yes. I mean high office at the level of government and level of politics that she's involved with. She's going to be talking to us today about government agenda and the people. And that's our topic of discussion, government agenda and the people. When we come back after that timeout, we're going to be having discussion on dissecting issues over the expectation of followers and the reality that they face. And of course, I'll be bringing in another guest who is going to be discussing with me with our in-house analyst. I'm talking about Dr. GMO, of course, on that segment. When we go for this timeout, please, I want to implore you, please don't change your channel, because this content you're about to see will change your life. Stay tuned. It's still Dove Television, and it's still tough on Dove Television. We'll be right back, and please don't go anywhere. All right, thank you very much for tuning in on Dove Television. Today is the Tough on your television. My name is David Ayodeji Kasali. Of course, I'm welcoming you back on our guest segment today. We have a topic of discussion that we are going to be looking at today. But let me quickly say, if it's your first time tuning in onto Dove Television, especially the Tough, is your Christian political talk show. Most definitely, this program is designed to enlighten, to embolden, to also educate all of us about politics, about our roles, and what we can do to make our city, our country better than what it is. And of course, some of us are calling for leadership, and of course, we are looking at leadership and followership also on the show. But whatever it is you are called to do in the arms of government, this is the show for you. And of course, this is where you get to learn about all that has been going on in the government. On this segment, we are going to be talking to our guest who has traveled very, very far away. And of course, she's on with us today to also look at some of these issues that we're, of course, the topic basically, specifically, that we're going to be talking about. My guest happens to be the former chairman of Ado Ekiti local government. And of course, she's recently the Director General for Women Campaign Council. Of course, I'm talking about my mother. I call her my mother is, of course, for all of us. And she's a woman of power, especially in politics. I'm talking, and I have the privilege to have with me in the studio, Mrs. Feyi Omotunde Fajui. Madam, you're welcome on the tour.
Thank you very much, Pastor David.
It's the first time, yes, so yes. I may not have done justice to the introduction, but we will so much have you to introduce, tell us about yourself, your work with Christ, and your involvement in politics.
Well, I thank God for this opportunity. First and foremost, you got my names correctly.
Thank you, man.
I am trained to be an accountant, but I am occupied with farming. In poultry products and palm products. And by God's grace, I'm a minister in the Church of God. I am a youth minister.
Which mission now?
I have my own ministry, the Crystal City Foundation.
Oh, wonderful.
And by God's grace, I attend Winners Chapel. And by God's grace, I have been severally into politicking and in the offices. I have been a wife of a chairman, 1999 to 2002, and while being a wife of chairman,
yes, ma'am,
I was the pioneer secretary of all women in Algon in Nigeria.
Lovely.
I coordinated all female candidates 2011. And by God's grace, I became a council chairman. Having a wife of the chairman, I was now the council chairman. And by God's grace, still, during these very last elections, I became the Ekiti State Director General for the Women Campaign Council under the chairmanship of Erubisi Fayemi. And by God's grace, we won.
Hallelujah.
And we had 5 women in position now. So I think that puts me much more on a pedestal of being a Christian in politics. And that should be able to say much, or I should be able to say much about being in the game even as a Christian.
That's a lovely one. Doctor, sir, I think I will have you think.
Well, we welcome you to this program.
Thank you very much.
Mrs. Fajui.
Thank you, sir.
Now, with the exception of few inconclusive elections, most elections are done all over the Federation. How will you really, what's your general overview of the 2019 election vis-a-vis 2015 election?
Well, Doctor, thank you very much.
Just in a nutshell, because...
It's a great departure from the past. A great departure.
In what way?
Okay, one. Okay, I think the 2015 election was a build-up to the 2019 election. There was not much of money talking or money working for you.
Yes, ma'am.
It was like, we won this person.
But politicians spent?
Spent in the... When people say politicians spend, honestly, I don't want to be partial in this. All the APC, which is the party I belong to, will do is take care of the people for their welfare on the election day. A lot of people come to vote from a distance. So it's just natural and normal and human that
won't the opposition look at that as vote buying?
No. We don't give them the money. You make arrangement for buses to take them. Some of us leaders, we provide snacks or meals for them and water essentially. So I think it was a great departure from the money politicking. And people actually voted their conscience, so to say, essentially. It may not be everybody.
Yes, sir.
And
yes,
it was like, you have done well, we'll vote for you.
So in a nutshell, can you say that majority of the people have their say, while minority, have their way, while minority have their say?
The minority just had their say, truly.
Okay.
The majority had their way. And some of those who are supposed to be the minority would have made the minority become majority, stayed away because they were not pleased with some fundamental things that will make Nigeria go well. Like, for instance, you are a civil servant, you have had issues in enlarging yourself, ironically and not rightfully. You may decide not to hate the person who wants to put things straight.
Yes,
so you stay away from voting. So essentially, this election, honestly, we are getting it. We are getting there. And God is moving us. Like what somebody said this morning, maybe God is waiting for us. We have prayed.
Waiting for
he
us
has had.
to
So
act.
he's waiting for us to act. And we started acting.
I think
What now, because we are talking about government agenda,
Yes, please.
and the people, what do you think now? Because for May 29, 2019, there are different expectations the people are having, having voted the governments into power at the federal level, at the local government, at the state level.
State level.
So what do you think about government? What do you think the federal government, the state government should be thinking about, in really meeting the needs of these people?
Okay, there are carryover issues in Nigeria.
yes, sir.
Carryover issues, yes.
Like?
And government is a continuum anyway.
Yes, sir.
So the carryover from this outgoing government nationally has corruption, not yet settled, has economy not properly in place yet.
Yes.
We are trying. We've been trying to get the foundations done, but they are not properly in place. So that's why I say there's a carryover, especially in the economic side of the government, there's a lot to be done. And unfortunately, our people fundamentally are not into thinking, in quotes. They just wish.
Yes.
So wishful thinking does not get anybody anything.
So you really want the government now to really set up the thinking mechanism
of the people. That is just it. For instance, the TSA came on. You know, when you have a single account,
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Spillages are cut off, not even minimized. You will look forever for holes to get things done on religiously, but unrighteously. But the TSA is a dry, hard thing that can't really be cut.
Yes.
So people now will be like, okay, let me start getting used to it. That is, if they had not been caught and are being tried for one criminal offense or the other. So, for instance, a very tough one is the security.
Okay.
A very tough one. Yes, there may be political undertones, but the issue remains that people must be secured.
Even for business to thrive.
Everything is hinged on security of the nation. Even food. So,
just to take you back, there's a statement you made now,
yes, please.
And that doctor also seconded, about the wishful thinking of the people.
Yes, please.
And he did say education. How do we take the people to the process of, look, don't just wish these things to come. There's a process.
Okay,
the people do not understand that.
I will make my state, Ekiti State, an example. I don't blow people's trumpets. No. I have consistently said it that if as Christians,
yes,
we are Christians indeed and in truth, and we make God's own book the prototype of governance, there won't be issues.
How?
One,
enlighten us.
God made provisions for the expectations.
Yes. Yes,
so if as a leader, like you come up with your manifesto, being verbose, being just technical garrulous, and you are not seeing the actuals. You are not planning on the actuals. You may not be able to see the actuals properly, but when you get there, the first thing to do before making any other announcement is what is on ground.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you see what is on ground, I'm sorry, I have told you I'll do these things, but with what I'm seeing now, it is not possible.
So what can we do together?
People like me can ask you, didn't you make your findings? You just need to answer properly that, look, when you look at it from the outside, it's different from when you are inside. Just like we got to I haven't been to Ikogosi for so long, and when JKF came on
Warm
Spring, when he came on board, and he went there to see things for himself, it was just the pictures I saw. I was near tears, and I was like, if this guy is going to work, yes, if this guy is going to work at all, can he make any headway? But he was already prepared that he's prepared for the worst scenario. We saw the hotels, the Fountain Hotels, cave in the government hotel there. And I went, because I didn't believe what I saw, the pictures I saw. So I went there. Okay. So now he came back on air to tell us, and that is sincerity. This is the things I have discovered,
in essence. And
these are the things we want to do.
And then the economic power, or whatever, or the financial whatever is this.
Exactly. So, and in this now, people will come to me. Mommy, come and help us. I want my daughter to be in the civil service. I tell them no. The last government has not made it possible for people. And even if the last government has done so well, so beautifully well, all of us cannot be accommodated in the civil service. So
we have to think out of
I'm an example of not working for government. Yes, I graduated 83 when there was this embargo on employment. Started catering service. It was just a dark land then. No catering anything. I was selling jollof rice right in front of my house, and I was making it.
But here you are.
By God's grace, and I can't. When it was created, it became like, okay, how much were my pairs? How much would they be earning? I thought that was a little bit demeaning. I said, okay, what about the commissioners? Because I was qualified to be a commissioner then. And they told me, and I still went on with my jollof rice.
You didn't
selling, but I had to withdraw from it a bit because it wasn't helping my Christian life. Into catering. I was into catering. I'll come back Saturday night or Sunday morning, tired. I said, no.
Of course.
If it's not giving glory to God, forget it. And I was ministered to start a poultry. When I became a full-fledged politician, I knew that if you don't stay with your poultry, you may not make anything. God helped me in that wise. He knew me. God knows all of us and what we are made of. Yes. Anyway, so I started in error, in quotes. I started the palm thing. And today is almost like all I do. So if people would think outside the box, personally, if our orientations will be redirected, we can. And how does the government do this? You give them the example and you tell them the truth at the needed points in time.
So the availability of information.
I'm telling you, information must be consistent.
Now, based on what you have said, what do you think should be, you have analyzed something at the federal level now.
Yes.
Let's go down to the state level.
All right.
What do you think should be the primary focus of governance?
The primary
at
focus
the state
of
level.
the governance is
state
the
level.
people.
In what way? Well, we know it's the people.
Okay, it is the people, yes. But anything not touching the welfare of the people, plus, forget it. You are not governing.
Well, that's in general term. I want to drill down. People
are like, governance is doling out money. No, it is making the environment conducive for all businesses. It is showing us the way to do things. For instance, in Ekiti now, it is only a fool who will not think of making agric the sole and major source of income in Ekiti to be able to stand on our own. For instance, government has no business doing farming, but you can help us to begin the farm.
Environment.
And exactly, and then we go on
help
ahead.
with the inputs.
For instance, in Ekiti right now, there's dearth of eggs. You can, for a first instance, which I know the government will still do, get people together in a community farming, give them a long rows of poultry, whatever, segment it to the young ones at 200 birds per head. 200 birds per head was feeding me and my family for more than 2 years. So any serious youth, and I want to encourage the government, it doesn't have to be in the midtown. Create agri-satellite towns. Where you do all this, maybe you have about 20,000, taking care of more than 1,000 youths. And they live there. Let them have their DSTV, let them be connected to the world. And they be comfortable. Anytime I go on the farm, it's very difficult for me to want to come to town because I have everything fresh. And for a Christian, you study more when you are in such cool environments and natural environments. There are no hazards of the road. There are no hazards of the distractions. You just and you get better things. You don't get hungry on the farm. Unfortunately, food is on the farm.
Now,
you don't get hungry on the farm.
Now that's apart from agro-allied. Now, there is this something about our human capital development. What do you think the state government should be involved in? I remember Bigay came to Nigeria and he left a sore note that the government investment in human capital is low. So what will your advice be?
Okay, what is human capital development itself? Getting the person equipped for his own life. Exactly, which is just a portion of government. Because that's why I said the government is for the people.
Yes, sir.
And it is intertwining. The governed and the people on top. So when the governed knows what he should do, the people at the top should be able to take care of them in helping putting them on the right pedestal towards development. And that's why I love making the agric thing because I know it. So if the government itself will know that, not government, if the governor, the head of the government himself, will know that I am here for the people to thrive, to be able to be self-sustaining, to have things working for them and with them, we won't have much problems. The people in governance, people at the head of the echelon will be at peace, and we will be at peace. For instance, like everybody wants to be in the civil service. Okay, being in the civil service does not pay anybody anything. 100 of us doing.
People look at that. What my salary is guaranteed at the end of the month.
In the Christendom,
and then I have job security.
In the Christendom, it is taught you must be multi-jobbed or whatever. I can't remember the way Bishop puts it.
Multitasking.
Multitasking, yes. Because if I work from home, I don't work with the government. I have my time. I can pray more for the nation, for myself, for my children, for the family around me, for the church. But when you are at work for somebody, you are strictly,
you are not in control of your time.
You are strictly abiding with the
That's the
tenets of
mentality
whatever.
of many Nigerians, because they believe that their earning is guaranteed.
What
and their job
earning?
is secured.
What earning? What job security? So, for instance, if they want to lay off now, okay. Honestly, and sincerely, when I see people think I'm wicked, but no, the computer is being made dormant in the in government circles. You see people doing a lot of calculations and things that you can just feed in your information and get your output easily. Except for maybe engineering works, except for maybe environmental works.
There are even softwares now.
I'm telling you that will do so many for you.
And
But
that's why we need to invest
we
in knowledge
exactly
economy.
knowledge economy. That's one language I picked from John Kari Fayemi. Knowledge economy. I was like,
But how do
what's
we,
the meaning of this?
Good. How do we operationalize that in a state like Ekiti? Now, Ekiti is noted for producing the highest number of doctors, professors in Nigeria. How do we actually operationalize?
Unfortunately, we are still rounding on the same circle. Being a professor does not mean you know your profession.
Oh, right.
Because I attended an inaugural meeting, and the guy was just reeling through the whole speech as if he had hot yams in his mouth. At the end of it, I said, if I ask this man a question, I may be stepping on him. I went to him thereafter. I said, Professor, sir, do you know me much as I grab things as fast as they are? I couldn't grab one thing you have said. So
he has not communicated.
He has not communicated, and he said, "What do I mean?" I said, "You are going it so fast, and I wonder with these grants why." I used to wonder with the grants flying around the universities why there are no improvements on so many things. Now I know, and he said, "How?" I said, "Because you are running through it. You are not even. You are not allowing us to know.
Whether you.
So it's not. I'm not even sure you will know.
Whether the audience even assimilate or not."
He felt so bad about it. So knowledge. I mean, the economy is one of the very pivotal things all stratas of government should work with now. Because a lot of us, in fact, I don't have the figures, but let me just guess about 85% of us are like illiterates. We are uneducated illiterates, educated illiterates.
We are not really optimizing.
No, we are only literate.
What we learn.
A lot of biological sciences students want to go into trading. Because they have gone through the school has not gone through them.
It's not really.
A lot of lawyers want to come out and start making some other things. I have a daughter who wants to be a tailor, and I told her, "Well, you have to get your degree," and she said, "What degree do I need to become a tailor? I'd rather go to be a tailor learning under tutelage." And she gave me an example of a mechanical engineer, cousin of hers. My own daughter telling me, SS2 girl, that Ogambali behind my house, who is a mechanic, Meko, is better than her cousin. I don't know when the mention I remember that after being...
So she doesn't need a degree to actually...
all she would need a degree for probably is if there's a place where they will go to study dressmaking and blah, blah, blah.
In essence, like this knowledge economy, we can recognize people like Ogambali. I'm just saying it.
Exactly.
Auntie Feyi, somewhere else, who is into catering,
and
then now put people
after your
school people.
Exactly. Let them have a training with them.
Why?
The practical.
Like fashion, like electro.
That's what happens in China.
And then they train up a lot of people, and then we release them.
Then they can communicate effectively on the job on hand, so they can make more impact. And as a Christian, this thing is the Christian double. You say you are a Christian, you have not opened your Bible for a moment. I was telling somebody, I said, God didn't tell me to go and make nonsense. He said, all things have been made available for me. All things, all. So, and when God says all is all. And in the morning when I'm going out, they say I should go and represent somebody in the Medical Society of Clinical I say, Holy Spirit, what will I say? Made all things available for me.
I can do all things through Christ.
Sometimes some medical jargons will come out of my mind. I will be like, did I really say that? And I will see the video and I'm talking sense. But after having received whatever, I go Googling and I get information.
Double confirm.
And that's it. And that's
because of our time, I quickly want to take you on this our last question. We're talking about government agenda and the people. What role does the in-depth knowledge of the leader, the culture, the religion play in the agenda and the people?
The religion is all about, well, I can talk about Christianity, but I'm sure most religions too have. I'm a follower of Mahatma Gandhi a lot. He wasn't a Christian, but he said very profound things that had to do with the human nature and making it living on earth and leaving a mark. So the first thing a leader should be, if you don't want to be a dealer, dealing in trading in the people, is knowing the people and knowing the terrain. At a point, people were really against me when I said, I believe it's somebody who is Araule, somebody who is home-based. Because you don't live in a place. Okay, for instance, I don't know if you have ever been to Ado Ekiti.
No.
There's somebody, I know people who pass through Ado Ekiti to go to Abuja.
Yes, ma'am.
That's going by Ado Ekiti. They know Ado Ekiti.
Yes, ma'am.
They've seen Ado Ekiti, sorry. They don't know Ado Ekiti. Even my brother, who is abroad, who's been abroad for about 20 years, he comes home, there's a different topography. And he doesn't know. So you have to know a place and the people to be able to effectively lead them.
To form your agenda.
It will be a blind man leading others if you don't know. God help us.
Amen. Amen. And because of our time, I want to say a very big thank you. I think we'll have you again because the direction at which we are looking at this, we have a lot of issues to touch on the government agenda and people. We want to bring a balance where whatever policies the government are formulating are in consonance with what the people desire, what the people are yearning for.
It has to be striking.
Yes. What's your message, man, to Christians who are watching us, who are thinking politics is dirty game? Well, all this thing does not have effect.
Politics, it can't be a dirty. My message to Christians who want to be going to politics
that's very important.
Is one thing: be upright, remain upright.
Maybe they are fearful.
And the Bible says, fear not. So you have to be as bold as
So is it
a lion.
possible to be in politics and still be upright?
Very, very. I was in council as chairman. My driver went to discuss that this person is not allowing them. They took me to the higher authorities and I was like, what have I done wrong? Your vehicles are not good. I have a good car. So I'm driving my car to council. Everybody, when I say everybody, I mean everybody. Even the councillors that were supposed to be from the same party were against me. And I said, okay, no problems. We will tell the people our story. Stop having this sense of entitlement. You are earning, you are being given your allowances. If I need a bricklayer, I'll go to town to look for a bricklayer. You don't have to go and bring a bricklayer. Make the bills at 67 naira when the bricklayer will take 50 naira and be good. So it's as simple as that. You don't have to steal with your emoluments in the council.
And people
you will be working and you'll be helping people. And when I said, let's take ourselves to the people's court, and some of them came to me and I told them, yeah, we will support you. And a lot of them will follow me to church because they know that I will tell you the truth. So when you stay by the truth, fearlessly, God will be your support. Nothing to fear.
I want to say a very big thank you for coming on the show, for being part of it. All right, you've heard it. And you've heard it again. Of course, we're going to go on a short break. When we come back, we'll be going to the conclusive part of this episode on the top. You've heard it. Yes, this is a woman of God in politics, and to God be the glory, our salvation is still intact. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll be going to our discussion segment. And of course, I will be telling you more about the issues that we'll be dissecting there. Don't go anywhere. It's still the top on Dove Television.
A good representation of the interest, the characteristics of the qualified, the demands and responsibilities of the enlightened, the level playing ground, the tough. Follow the conversation on Dove Television every Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. Nigerian time. Available on Channel 83 on GoTV, Channel 349 on DSTV, Channel 464 on Star Times, and also available on all the platforms. Be enlightened, be emboldened, be empowered.
All right, thank you for still joining us. You're welcome back. It's still the Turf on Dove Television. If you're joining us for the first time, this is your Christian political talk show, yes, on this channel. And of course, this is our talk segment. We call this the discussion segment. And of course, joining me on this segment are men who are going to be dissecting some of the issues and profiling the way forward to some of this issue. And what are we talking about? We are talking about the followers' expectations and reality. To coin it another word, our expectations and the reality. There's one thing to expect, there's the reality staring at our face if this can become our reality. All right, and joining me to discuss this is the former editor of The Nation on Sunday. I'm talking about Mr. Lekan Otufodurian, who is now the director, the CEO of the Media Career Development Specialist Movement. And of course, he's here, and you are going to hear directly from him. You're welcome, sir, on the top.
It's nice to be here again.
He's glad. All the conversation we've had all the time, we've checked out, and it's given us a new dimension to politics and all. I want to say a very big thank you, sir, for still being on this. All right, and do not forget, we have our own man in the house, the specialist, and of course, on leadership scholar, I call him a specialist, who is going to also be discussing with us. I'm talking about our own Dr. JMO Ekundayo. Doctor, yet again, you're welcome to the discussion segment.
Thank you, David. Our esteemed viewers, we appreciate once again for tuning in, and we believe we are going to have a good time together again.
Most definitely. Most definitely. All right, sir. Talking on followers' expectation and the reality, I want us to come through this angle. Looking at the elections, and do you think largely that the followers' voice mattered vis-a-vis the outcome of that just concluded election? Do you think the voice of the people have been heard?
Well, I think by and large, we need to credit the voters that this time around we could see signs that their vote mattered.
Yes, sir.
Across the country, there are indicators to see that things did not go the way some either to political juggernaut expected it.
Yes.
You know, so we have situations across the country. In Imo State, for example, the governor had a candidate. He didn't win despite all the investment. In Ogun State, it didn't turn out the way the governor wanted it. In your state, the governor did not even win his polling unit. His polling unit where he voted, he didn't even win. In Kwara, I mean, the famous Otoge is win. And between the presidential and governorship, too many things changed. So in Kano State, for example, where you have over 1 million vote difference for the presidential, the governor is battling to get his position back. In Bauchi State, it's the same thing. So we can see that there are signs that if we give democracy a chance, if we move from where we are to where we are going, people's voice, people's vote will matter. And we have situations to tell people who come after to say, look, if you don't do what you are supposed to do, something happened to your predecessor.
In fact, that's what I want to buttress, that the followers are getting more power in Nigerian politics. The other way around used to be what we had before, that you have the leaders who just dictate, the godfathers. But the godfathers now will be saying that their powers are being eroded. And that's how it's supposed to be in real democracy, because it's a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Leaders should not forget that, you know, followers put them there. Followers prefer them among many other people and put them there. And then one other beautiful thing before we leave this, that needs to be one other thing that's good to point out is that we can now begin to see that parties, the platform that you contested on matters too. Especially with the structure of the parties. Like you are talking about Imo State and Ogun State. You know, one beautiful thing that happened in our politics, I mean, about our democracy, is that we can now see the influence of the party. You know, in a case where you have somebody sponsoring other candidates in another political party, and yet, you know, competing on the platform of a party, of a different political party. You know, you can now see the people could discern and say, okay, we are going to go this way. And they decided.
So we could conclude that we have to jettison the idea of your vote doesn't count, like that's been circulating around.
votes matter a lot. One vote can make a difference.
Yes, sir.
There are places where the margin of victory was very, very slim.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Even in the inconclusive election that we are waiting for,
Yeah.
the margin of victory is the one that is going to determine who is going to win.
Yeah, it's because of the cancelled votes being more than the margin.
Yes,
That's
sir.
why you are having this election now, the runoff taking place again.
So in many places, a photo-finish race. So if some people had not voted, it could have made a lot of difference.
A
Yes,
lot
sir.
and a
Yes,
lot
sir.
of difference.
Yes, sir.
A lot.
All right, moving on. Let's look at this. Being a follower, do you think majority of the leaders voted in know their followers' agitations, their yearnings, their longings? Do you think these leaders that are not voted, they truly understand the yearnings of the people?
Well, again, given the kind of campaign that went on in many areas, one could say that they got feedbacks.
Okay.
Whether they took it to heart is a different thing. But they got feedbacks. People mentioned to them and said, look, your predecessor had promised us this, he didn't do this.
And this,
I
yes.
know places where governors went and said, look, this road you started it, you didn't do it. Now you have come back. You know, you always remember us when there is
when the election is around the corner.
So they got feedbacks, and given the way some of them won, I'm sure that they will be very sensitive to what they had.
Yes, sir.
Because very soon, 4 years will be over, there will be another time to go for election again. So I think they got feedbacks. They know what their people want. Sometimes they may not be able to meet it, but they know what their people want. And what people want are not much. They just want basic necessities of life. They want an environment where they can prosper and do their things.
Yes, sir.
You know, they're not asking government to do everything for them. But where, for example, people who are graduates cannot get a job and they are running Okada. And yet, even the environment for that Okada is not conducive. It's a tragedy. So they know what people want, and if they don't do it, it will happen again.
Doctor, what's your take on this?
Well, my take on this is that, well, be that as it may, that they had feedback, and they can now. It's important to feed that feedback into a kind of a funnel, process it through to align with the people's expectation.
Yes, sir.
And I will recommend going forward, it's good for all elected leaders now, whether the legislature or the executive, to do like maybe like 1 year in office.
Yes, sir.
Go back to your people.
Yes, sir.
Do a kind of a research, a kind of what are the followers' expectations.
Really?
A kind of a blind one,
grassroots.
not the one that will favor you. You can even consign it to some
contractors.
Consultants, specialists,
specialists,
specialists in this area who can do it for you, not because of what you actually want.
Yes, sir.
So that they can give you a kind of a result that is less biased.
Yes, sir.
And then you now know, oh, I need to adjust here, I need to adjust here. So because before you know it, the 4 years is not even 4 years. What you have is just about 2.5 years. Because 6 months you are still trying to adjust. And 2 years is the real something you have. Because after that, you have another set of people that want to take your position.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
just a quick one to say that in terms of expectation, sometimes, like we had in this outgoing government, we have instances where people build bridges where people don't need bridges.
Oh.
Yes, the government can say we have built bridges, but do these people
I don't
really
want to
need
mention states or
bridges?
location.
Yes, I'm not mentioning, but I'm just saying, it's as bad as that. So there are times when we sit in government house and think, this is what these people want.
You're right. Brother Lekan, in economic analysis, I work in that area. That's what we call needs assessment.
Yes.
Needs assessment, we take care of that.
Yes.
Is it
We're
because
actually going to that direction.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted you to talk more on
That's
it.
what we call needs assessment. It's in going to the people what you actually need. I was privileged to interview former governor of Lagos State, now Minister of Power, Babatunde Raji Fashola. And one of the things I found out from him was that with some people, they first of all went out to meet the people, local government by local government, and say, okay, give us 3 items, 1, 2, 3. But make sure you put as number 1 the one you need most. Then in that order, 3 for each local government. And then while I was interviewing, he said, go back to those local government now. We may not have done the 3, but at least we have done 1, or we are starting 1.
Yes, sir.
And that's why you can see the second time in coming to power, it was an easy ride for him. He won up to about 80% of the votes cast in the second time. I have the record because there was a book written on that. So there's the need for people, for the leaders to do a need assessment among their followers in their constituency. If you are a legislature, whether state or federal, or you are a governor, do a need assessment, local government by local government, and then feed that back into your budgets. Do a budget consultative forum with your people, whether on local government basis or central district, and you'll be able to decipher, the voice.
So, Doctor, I just want to bring this in. Does that mean, some of them have manifesto before the election, and they share with the people. Now, some of these manifestos don't have those needs. Now, does that mean if you got elected eventually, you have to tweak what you promised to do in line with the need of the people that we have discovered by research? Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, and I will say that before Brother Lekan will come in to speak something on that. That is it, because it is not just about your manifesto. It is about the people.
Yes, sir.
It is about the people. Now, your manifesto is your wish, is your aspiration for these people. But they may be saying,
we have,
well, maybe your manifesto, you want to build schools.
Yes, sir.
But these people are saying, well, we have enough schools here. But you know what? Water is our main distance. Or hospital. We don't even have primary care in this environment. We used to travel 5 kilometers. And we want that to stop. So preferably what we want as number one is
then you rearrange.
But I will also think that ordinarily it would have been good even if these promises were made within the ambit of what is reality. Because sometimes it's difficult to retune the wishes of the people. I mean, it happened in this government where people said, look, you promised us this. So it's not also good for politicians to make promises without understanding. Because, for example, if there is somebody that you are trying to offstage, don't lie to the people to say you are going to do better when there's no opportunity to do better. So don't promise what you cannot accomplish. Even at the rate of aspiring, people should do researches and say, what didn't work here? Use it as, during some of the debates that happened, I watched one of the debates of one of the states, and it turned out that one of the aspirants, who is not even number 1, number 2, number 3, he was so sound because he was using facts and figures to even puncture what the current government was doing. And people could see that this man is ready. Because coming to office is something that you must be ready to hit the ground running.
Yes, sir.
So if you don't have that, you may have to battle with the people who are asking you for what you cannot do. So I would say, don't promise what you cannot do.
That is it.
So you must understand what are the limitations of the person you are trying to upstage.
Yes, sir.
So it's important.
All right. Moving ahead, I have some other matters I want us to also quickly dissect because of our time here. I want us to look at the men at the helms of affairs. How can they discern the voice of the people? Doctor did mention earlier on about having need for an assessment, even if you have to get a specialist who is going to do that, because we realize, it might be my opinion that the people who are surrounding the people in power, leaders, some of them might not be as realistic and practical to the leader as expected. Because of favoritism or psychophancy.
Now, let me just say this. There are 2 ways that I will just, practical ways.
Yes, sir.
And it is good for leaders to do a kind of a consultative forum, genuine, not one that's premeditated, genuine. I've seen that happening in a state. I don't want to mention state because I'm on the air now.
Yes, sir.
But then I've attended and I've discovered it's just open, and it's open, and they call people to just ask questions, make inputs, and make sure they get civil society organizations to attend, traditional rulers, all people of all, strata of the society are there in that particular district. And based on senatorial districts, people come. And then they talk. And then it's done yearly. So that these are factored into the budget process.
Yes, sir. And that's the voice of
school, it's water, it's primary care, something that they need. It's road. We don't have a road linking our town to another district. Or, school is about 4, another school is about 4 kilometers. Like that. So these issues are analyzed. And then senatorial district by senatorial district. And then when the budget process is going on, then they look at this vis-a-vis the manifesto and what have been promised to the people.
All right, sir. All right, sir.
Well, I also think that one of the undoing of this present government, not this regime, I mean the present government that we are running, is that we are not allowing democracy to seep down to the local government. So you have a situation where local governments are not local governments in the real sense of it. Because if we have the right layers, residential, state,
federal, state,
and local government, we also assure that things go down, but there's over-centralization. So you have a situation where...
You have to review that.
Yeah, no, it's given. It's just that sometimes we're not allowing it to run. Yeah. So you have situations where the allocation for local governments are held by state governments. They decide what to give them. And so the local government that is supposed to be the closest to the people...
Don't you think the system is at fault? Because when you have joint local government, joint state and local government account, and whereas the federal does not join any account with any state.
Yes, but I also think that if the people at the state level also mean well, if they say, look, this is what they have done, but this is what you are entitled to, let it be run. So because we have seen situations where people complain and say, look, we never got anything. That is why our local government is not running. They are closest to the people.
Yes, sir.
And again, I also say a very dangerous trend in many states where state governments are beginning to run without commissioners. It's also a very worrisome trend. The excuse is that there is no money. But if you are going to ensure that you hear people, people get, you need to have different people at different layers who are close to the people.
Yes, sir.
People are appointed at different layers. They get voices, and you must also allow some situations where you hear direct from the people. There have been governors in this country where you could send them emails, you could send them messages that doesn't go through the officials. They look through themselves.
Yes, sir.
Then they decide. Yes, because it's important that government understand that.
I use that doesn't exist right now.
No, some people try to do it.
It's not that it doesn't exist. Well, let me just say this, and I will say it. I've written in a book anyway, it's online. I got into contact with the former governor of Lagos State via email. I was doing my PhD research in Malaysia, and I sent him an email, and he replied in my email, and I did the research on his leadership style, and I wrote a book on it, like that. But you see, in how many of our leaders can we find this quality today that they can respond to an ordinary Nigerian on the streets? And there should be mechanism in place.
Yes, sir, for feedbacks
like
this. Sir. Yes, sir.
That is not filtered.
That is not filtered.
In that, I'm getting a different perspective entirely. I don't want to discourage anyone, but this next question, it seemed like a discouragement. And it says, do you think the expectation of the followers can turn to manifestations despite the not smiling economic outlook? Because now there's one thing you have expectations, we will do this for you, we will do that for you. You and I know that the treasury is there, and then we have to look at the treasury to look at the budget.
International price of oil in the market.
So how many of these projects can turn to reality? How many of these promises, expectations can turn to manifestations, in your view, sir? Well,
the president has been quoted to have said that this next administration will be tough. And he said that against the background of the... Yes, President Buhari, yes. So he did say something like that. But I think he's just being realistic. Again, it goes back to what we are saying. Politicians should not promise what they cannot do. If they don't do that, they will not find ourselves in a situation. So if we know that the benchmark for the budget is this, we should know what we're expecting. But I also think that the followers need to also be very realistic. Yes, we have promised you, but this is what we have found. I mean, for example, in some states, what is playing out is that when governors are leaving, and they are not coming back, they do things that make it difficult for even the next government to come. So when you come, you are battling to even settle basic things. So you are not paying salary. You can't be talking of even building roads. The allocation that is coming, the question is, how much is this state entitled to? So we must match that against
and then
performance.
The IGR,
for some states is so low. Some states, what they get in federal allocation is not enough to even do the first line charge, which is the salaries and so many other things. So by the time you do that, if you don't pay civil servants, people complain. If you don't build roads, but we must find a balance.
We
must find a balance. And we must be very transparent. If people know this is the real situation, they probably understand. But when they are suspecting, rightly or wrongly, that the governors are sitting down on millions and not doing anything, when they are thinking there are security votes that are being disposed to some other things, they will get some different ideas.
To add to that, I would say, apart from striking a balance, the people at the end of affairs, especially the governors,
yes, sir,
should begin to find ingenious means, financial engineering this time around,
yes,
that
sir,
will not burden the people, but
yes,
at the same time, we enhance the IGR,
yes, sir,
the internally generated revenue of the state. For instance, Lagos State is a yardstick today because in Lagos State, we right from income of IGR of about 600 million during the first time of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes, sir.
By the time it was handing over, was already about 6 billion.
Wow.
And then the governor then Babatunde Raji took over and took it up to almost about 20 something. Now it's about 30 something again. The governor body came in and up it to about 35 billion.
Yes, sir.
So it's not just in a day. So
sir.
the governors should not just begin to think we are going to Abuja next month. So Commissioner for Finance, go there and collect our money. You see, what can you do? Like agro-allied production in the states,
yes, sir,
knowledge economy. How can you bring this? It's not just about taxing people.
Yes,
and then
sir,
they begin to complain.
Yes, sir.
And then they don't even allow you to even come here another time again. Yes, we're supposed to be thinking find ingenious means aggressively. It's not just about, I'm going to award contract. Your contract, well, fine. It will bring value to the people.
Yes, sir.
But it's not bringing any income for now. It may bring through a process, by facilitating transportation and the rest of it. So,
because of our time, sir,
yeah.
I quickly want to add this as we round up on it. What should be the top agenda of governance from the federal to the state, in your opinion?
I want Brother Lekan to answer that.
Well, the agenda is, first of all, let's remember that there are unfinished business on ground. So it's important that governments don't change and they abandon old projects. So there are projects that needs to be sustained.
So let's face that. And
yes,
then,
they must. Government is a continuum.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And as much as possible, if a road is being built and is not completed, that road must be completed. So let's focus on completed projects.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after that, we begin to address what we are talking about. What else needs to be done? What facilities are available in our state that we are not exploring?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We should stop paying lip service to exploring raw materials in some of these states. If there are raw materials, let's really find it so that we can earn revenue for it. But that is very, very important. And we need solid team that understand the economy.
Yes, sir.
If we don't do that, we play to the gallery, we satisfy a section of the people, and many other people we lose out. But we must know what is important to the people.
Yes,
now, I want to add to that quickly, because of our time, that there's a need to pay attention to our human capital development. And that is talking about education.
Yes, sir.
About education. There's no, primary and secondary education all over Nigeria should be free. With the abundant resources, if not, we are only, postponing the evil day.
Yes, sir.
Because why are we having all this Boko Haram militancy and all the rest, and we are fighting with every security vote? It's because our educational something are not being up. We have not upped our game in the educational sector to make our people to get to this level that they need. Yes, and then if we invest in education, we can harvest knowledge economy later on. And then two, on health. On health, we need to really invest and make sure, because all these we combine together to get the human capital development. And thirdly, I want to talk about agro-allied development, not just agric, but going through the process, the whole chain, to make sure that, like cashew now, I was reading in the paper, cashew in the international market per ton from $500 is now $1,800. Wow. Cashew is now very costly. We can latch into all this, and it can grow almost anywhere in Nigeria. What about oil palm and all the rest of the thing? We can work on all this and get it to the process line, and then Nigeria can earn a lot through the states.
We have, thank you very much, Doctor. Thank you very much, Mr. Lekan Tufodure. We have such a great perspective to the direction that we need to go, especially in this dispensation. And I believe and I pray, as we Christians are praying and also getting ourselves up and doing to making sure that we are bringing this into reality. We'll not be able to go any further on this segment. Of course, we'll be rounding off the episode of the Turf for this week on this. We promise to bring you more discussions and, of course, to dissect very important government and political issues on this show. And, of course, not just dissecting, but profiling the way forward. And, of course, you can also make your voice heard by following us on all our social media handles and, of course, drop your contribution, ask your questions, and, of course, we will be glad to receive all those contributions. And on this note, we'll be drawing the curtain on the top this week. By the special grace of Almighty God, we will be back next week by the special grace of Almighty God, and we will be looking at other things that are of great interest to our development in Nigeria. My name is David Ayodeji Kasali, and of course, it's such a great privilege to be your host on this show. And on this curtain, I'm saying a very big thank you for you being part of this show. God bless you, and we will see you next week by the special grace of God. Bye for now.